Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday. I'm Jennifer Blum, domestic violence survivor, advocate, and founder of the Help Save Foundation. I'm here today with Sherry. She's going to tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi, my name is Sherry Crossley-Pettipas, and I'm a licensed independent clinical social worker. I've been an advocate for victims in the court system, as well as providing counseling within my practice.
We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in last week. We had a lot of great comments and a lot of great questions that we were able to answer. It was great seeing how many of you shared our video. And in fact, through all of your sharing, we were able to help somebody. So that was very important to us. And that's why we're here doing this, because we're trying to reach as many of you as possible and give you as much information as possible. We're going to start today with a short little recap about what we talked about last week, and then we're going to go into answering some of the questions, one of which was what other resources are available in our communities to help with domestic violence, and another one that we thought was very important as well was a question about what you can do to help others in the community and how you can be a part of the impact. So we're going to address both of those, but first we're going to start going over just a few things that we went over last week, because we found it to be very important, and all of your comments coming back to us showed us that what we were talking about last week was very important to so many of you. So basically, we're going to go over, first, I want to always start with the very important numbers that we have that you can reach out to, and that is the domestic violence hotline number, which is 1-800-799-7233. And also you can text HOME, HOME, to 741741. As always, if you're in a dire emergency and you need to get out right away or something bad is happening at the moment, please dial 911. And Sherry and I are also very available to all of you. So you can reach me and Sherry at the Help Save Foundation at yahoo.com, or find us right on the Facebook page. So last week, I kind of went over the things that you can do while in quarantine as the domestic violence victim stuck in your situation with your abuser. I'm going to start first by talking about, for those of you that can get away, and for those of you that can and are willing or trying to get away right now at the moment, we want to give you some essential things. Again, have a bag packed. It's very important to have that done as soon as you can. This way, it's where you are or wherever your safe place is going to be. Also, have emergency numbers at all times. Also, we want to make sure that you have contact with the outside world, as well as any emergency numbers that you need. Have a code word. Code word, again, like this worked this past week with code word, very, very imperative. Have a code word with your children, have a code word with your family and friends. Everyone that is involved in your situation should know what your code word is. This way, if they need to get to you or need to help you, they know as soon as you say that you're in dire need right away. If you're going to be going to a friend's house or a family's house and you're concerned about your safety or the safety of them or someone finding you, park your car somewhere else and ask the person that you're staying with to please come and get you. This way, wherever your car is not where you're actually staying. For those of you that are in a situation that you absolutely cannot get out of at this time, we completely understand, and we want to help you through that as well with as much support as we can offer. So one of our main key factors was to focus on trying to stay safe. It's very hard, and we know it's very hard living in the same house with your abuser on a day-to-day, but never mind being in quarantine and not having any other place to go. So we want you to really focus on making sure you're trying to stay as safe as possible. Make sure your phone is always charged. Very important to have a charged phone, any communication devices that you use to talk to people outside, whether it's social media, whether it's texting, phone numbers, doesn't matter. Make sure your phones, your laptops, tablets, whatever it is, make sure that it's charged so that when you leave, you have access to these things and you don't have to worry about that. We want to also tell you to, again, program emergency phone numbers into your phone. You don't have to have them as obvious as domestic violence hotline. You can have them under things like your favorite restaurant, your favorite hair salon, possibly a doctor's office. If you're in a situation in your home and you feel that it's escalating, make sure that you adhere. do what you need to about that. Don't ignore what's happening in your home. If you feel like you are in a very unsafe situation, then you need to act on that immediately.
Mhm.
Whether it be getting out of the house, taking a walk, leaving the room. As I suggested last week, I know no one wants to cater to our abusers, but at the same time, if you could do things to make them happy, to divert the negative attention, it's going to be very helpful to you in the long run.
And if I may just interject for 1 second, Jen, just to add to that, one of the things also that Jen really also highlighted last week was your gut and your intuition and utilizing that. And so you know better when you feel that things are getting to a point that is not okay, that is not safe. You know that better than anybody. And so, sometimes we get this gut feeling and we think, oh, it's not a big deal, and we don't listen to it. But again, as Jen mentioned last week, it is very important to know that when you're feeling like things are not okay, use that intuition. And that's probably going to be one of the safest things that you can do, and it's going to be one of those things that can also save your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, back to the safe word with your family and friends is important because they can help you so much. If you have told your family or friends what your safe word is, and you call them or they call you and you utilize, whether it be a sentence or the word, it doesn't really matter, whatever you're comfortable with, that can be used to divert some attention, meaning that person will come over, just check on you, but not in a way that your abuser knows that you're being checked on necessarily, but say brings cookies or something to drink, or something just to say, hey, I see you, you're okay. He or she now knows that someone's paying attention here, and you're diverting that negative attention. And we want to make sure that you do that because a lot of times it just continues to escalate. We're trying to give you ways to de-escalate it before it gets to a point that you can't handle it and it's out of hand and now somebody is getting hurt. So we really want to focus on the safety of you guys, safety of everybody that needs it, and making sure that you guys have some tools available to you to understand that there's things you can do within the home, even though you're stuck there, to try to calm situations down a little bit. And that for me was a big thing as far as how I lived in my house, was constantly trying to divert negative attention. Because a lot of times that negativity walked through the door and it had nothing to do with me. And I had to make sure that I was calm and smiley and did whatever I was asked so that it didn't escalate into something further later on. Sherry's going to talk to you a little bit about what you can do as friends and family. We actually had some really great things happen this week as far as someone that was a friend of a friend. We're going to get into that later. We're very excited because our first podcast ended up resulting in being able to help someone. So, of course, we're going to continue on, and we want to make sure that we provide you guys with as much resource as possible. So, Sherry, go ahead and talk a little bit about what you had last week.
Thanks so much, Jen. So basically, for friends, family, and colleagues, some things that you can do now or when needed would be to be available. Be aware that what you're committing to when you say to someone that you're available to them. If possible, try to make yourself available 24/7. I know we talked about this last week that we never know when somebody's going to be in need. We never know when somebody's going to finally make that call or get out of their home, and it's generally not at the most quote unquote convenient time for them or for anybody really. So if you're saying I'm available, again, let that person know I am here for you 24/7. But again, as we pointed out last week, that there are times when that's not possible, and we also understand that. So just letting someone know that I am available to you, and what that means for me is I can't necessarily do 24/7, but if you want to leave a bag of items at my house, if you want to leave money at my home, or whatever it else that, or essentials and whatever else that you can possibly give to somebody, as far as providing support is very helpful. Next, we talk about checking in daily via text message if possible. You want to make sure that your friend, family member, again, coworker is okay. And ultimately just getting that response lets you know that they're at least alive, which obviously is the most important thing. Being non-judgmental, not asking why, being willing to listen and be encouraging. And I kind of put all of those together this week because I think that they all kind of fall under the same umbrella of remembering that we're here to be non-judgmental. We're not here to question how somebody got into this situation, not at this point. And being willing to listen and encouraging them in whatever way we possibly can. And remembering that it's not about you or us, it's about them and their needs. Providing secret resources and help to provide a safe space. Again, Jen mentioned this earlier about if you're going to go and utilize, go to someone's house, a family member or a friend, and making sure maybe that you park your car in a different place so that everybody stays safe. And again, any secret resources can be, again, helping to open up a bank account, and again, finding a place. It may not be your place, but some other place maybe for them to go. Formulating secret plans and supporting the escape. I think that again, all falls under the same umbrella. Again, if you want further information on what was discussed last week, please log on to the Help Safe Foundation Facebook page and you can watch the whole podcast. And it gets into all of this information in more detail. I'm going to turn it back over to Jen so that she can go over those emergency numbers with you.
So emergency numbers, once again, for the domestic violence hotline is 1-800-799-7233. And again, if you only have texting ability, meaning you cannot speak in front of your abuser, which is also common at this point because we are stuck together, you can text HOME to 741-741. And you can also reach out to us at the helpsafefoundation.org or the Help Safe Foundation at Yahoo. So we wanted to go over some of the questions because we had some really great questions from last week. We answered a lot of them through email and through the messenger on Facebook, and a couple of them while we were live as much as we could. One of the major questions was, what can I do as an individual to help with situations like this? What can I do within my community? How can I be involved? Well, one of the major things of being involved, and we're super excited about this, is sharing this podcast. If you like it, you're getting good information from it, do us a favor and share it. I'm going to tell you a quick story about what happened last week. After we did this podcast, I ended up getting a call from somebody who needed help. She found out that her friend was available to her because someone saw our podcast. They decided to share it. And one of the things that we had talked about was, again, being there for people, making sure that if you know someone in this situation, that you're there for them. And so when our video got shared, it was shared in a manner of, I'm here for you. If anybody needs anything, please reach out to me. I can store bags at my house. There were so many wonderful things that this woman was making herself available to do. And guess what? Somebody saw it. A friend of hers saw it from out of state and said, hey, I need help. That woman, as of yesterday, has successfully gotten to her safe place. She left on Wednesday. The Help Safe Foundation was able to provide her with essentials to get there. We're very excited about that. That's why we're doing this. We're doing this so that if you need help, you can get help. We're giving you advice on how to get help. And if you're a friend, listen, it's just as important to be there for them, because this woman who is not from Massachusetts saw our video on a share, shared it herself, reached out to somebody, and hey, now she has somebody that she was able to save. And we truly appreciate that. And again, that's why we're here and that's why we're doing it, because we want to be able to help you and give you resources to be able to help others. One of the other ways that you can do is, as I just said, about what happened with the woman that left and is doing great now, that all came from social media. And, at the beginning of this pandemic, we saw a lot of, which I was so proud of our communities, people reaching out and saying, hey, listen, we know the schools are closed. So if your children need food, we're here to help you with food. If you need any essentials, we're here to help you with essentials. Same thing goes for this. If you allow people to know that you're going to support them through a domestic violence situation, they're more likely to reach out to you. If you share things that are domestic violence related and you become an advocate for domestic violence in your own way, just on such a powerful source like social media, people are going to understand that they can talk to you, that you're not going to judge them, and that you very well may save their lives. So social media has become huge, and we can use it for so many different platforms. And this is a big platform to use it for. And we would appreciate it if you did, because the more people know that you're there for them, or that you're in support of them, or that, hey, you don't stand for domestic violence, then they're going to feel like they can come to you. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for open avenues for people to be able to go to others and say, hey, this is a situation that I'm having. It seems like you're very much for advocacy for domestic violence. How can you help me? That's what we would like to see. Another great thing is shelters. Shelters are always in need. At the Help Save Foundation, we run a program. Unfortunately, we were starting the program right before this pandemic happened. We typically call it Project You're Beautiful because we're trying to make people feel beautiful, especially our women and men that are leaving a very stressful domestic situation. So helping your local shelters and organizations, I mean, call them up, see what they need for supplies. A lot of the shelters will not take used clothing, but they will take other things. They take baby stuff. I mean, diapers, wipes, clothing for babies. Again, typically they would like you to have new stuff. But what we do at the Help Save Foundation is once a year we run this project in which we ask the community to donate gently used and new handbags. And we fill all of those handbags with shampoos, conditioners, toothbrushes, contact stuff. If it's wintertime, it's gloves and hats. If it's summertime, it's other like tank tops and stuff that would really make someone feel good about themselves, especially when they're leaving a domestic violence situation and having to go into a shelter with nothing. The shelters provide what they can provide, and those are typically brought in by donors. So if you can donate to your local shelter, it's very helpful, and it helps people that are getting there feel a little bit more loved and a little bit more safe if they have some necessities that they need. For instance, even for children, we talked about last week in packing the bag to make sure the children had some stuff that would make them feel comfortable and safe. Same thing when you're thinking about donating to a shelter. Donate blankets, donate teddy bears, donate things that you know are going to comfort them. It's very important. They're leaving an environment that was very unsafe, very volatile, and they're going to a new place where they don't even know who they're going to be with. So by making sure that if you're going to donate, you donate items that are very comforting, not only to the husband, wife, or child, but everybody involved. Like, it's very, very imperative for people to feel as safe as they can once they get to where they're going. So if you can donate stuff to your local shelter, I always suggest give them a call first. Typically, you won't be going directly to the shelter. Even we don't get to go to a lot of the shelters. We have a drop-off point because shelters are obviously hidden places. They're not out in the open, and not a lot of people know where they are, and that's for everyone's safety. Participate in local fundraisers. If there's a fundraiser coming around and it's a fundraiser for domestic violence and you can't personally be there, okay, that's fine, but you could always donate. You can donate money, you can donate gift certificates, you can donate anything that's going to help them raise more money to be able to add more resources to the women of domestic violence as well as the men. If you have the opportunity to volunteer at a shelter, volunteering is a great way to be able to help the community as well. I personally volunteer a lot. I mean, most of everything I do, especially through the foundation, is all volunteer work. It gives me a lot of great feelings to be able to donate my time, donate whatever I can. Because I, as a survivor of domestic violence, one of the things that was always important to me was making sure that I could help others in ways that I didn't feel like I had been helped or I didn't allow people to help me. So being able to provide something like that is really, it's heartwarming and makes you feel good about yourself, especially when you're able to see some of the people and interact with some of the people you're helping. One of the times that we were doing a delivery in Providence, Rhode Island, we had 350 handbags that we did. We did tri-state. We did all of Massachusetts, all of Connecticut, and all of Rhode Island. And Rhode Island was what stood out to me most because I brought some of my volunteers who help us all the time. And it was great for them to be able to see what an impact they had. So we're walking up to where our drop-off point is, and it happened to be down the street from the shelter. And these 3 women came out of the shelter with a child and saw us and knew what we were there for because they already knew we were heading there to drop off these handbags. And they just cried in the street and thanked us so much. And for me, I was kind of used to that, seeing that because I've done it so much. But for my volunteers, it was beautiful for them to see how it affected the people that we were helping. And the fact that they were a large part of this. And if it weren't for them, these women may not have these wonderful little luxuries that we were providing with them. Another thing is like organizations like the Help Save Foundation. I mean, we're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for people who are willing to help and people want to get our word out into the community. Um, you could always do a drive for foundations like us, or a drive for shelters that are in need. There's things like Amazon Smile. I know I'm part of Amazon Smile. We get a lot of donations from that. Basically, you go, instead of using Amazon, you use Amazon Smile. It's totally different, but it's the same Amazon. Um, and you look for nonprofits, whether it be a domestic violence shelter or an organization that helps domestic violence. You can donate to them, and not monetarily. Basically, what happens is 0.5% of your purchase gets donated to the foundation or the nonprofit of your choice. Choose a shelter. Choose something that's related to domestic violence. And that's a small thing. I mean, we're all ordering online. We're all ordering from Amazon mostly. So utilize that. And it's not coming out of your pocket. You're paying for it anyway. Amazon's just decided, hey, we want to help nonprofits and domestic violence. So we're going to give the whatever nonprofit it is 0.5% of your purchase, which it's pretty awesome. If you want more information on things that you can do in your community, you can always visit Break the Silence. And their website is breakthesilenceeducation.org. So you could go there and look at different methods and different things that you could do to help domestic violence in your communities, which, our community where I always typically start. I do get a lot from out of state, but we work a lot with our own communities, because in our own communities, that's where I was, and that's where I see a lot of needing resources. So we do a lot of work in our community. And the Help Save Foundation truly provides a lot for women in need. I'm going to hand it over to Sherry, and she's going to talk to you about another very important question that we got.
Okay, thanks so much for all of that information, Jen. Again, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, that you will be able to review and look at these podcasts. So after they go up, don't think that, as you're listening to everything, I need to write everything down. I need to take in all of this information right now, because that's not the case. You'll be able to, they'll be posted on, Jen's page, my page, and the Help Save Foundation's Facebook page as well. So just to keep that in mind, that as you're trying to absorb all this information, that this isn't the only time that you can watch it. And it's also not the only time that you can pose questions as well. And so speaking of questions, one of the questions that was posed during last week's podcast was focusing on what new resources are there besides shelters and restraining orders. One would think that at this point, and hope actually, that there would be a myriad of options at this time, but unfortunately that's not necessarily the case. There are, however, far more shelters today than ever, and most shelters do have advocates that help you navigate what the next step should be after you've left. In addition, as Jen pointed out, there's foundations like the Help Save Foundation, and you can access them online. They have their own website, which you can reach through their Facebook page. And again, that's Help, and it's Save is capital, just to point that out. So it's Help, capital SAVE Foundation. Also, texting versus having to find a way to make a phone call and risk being heard is also a new way to reach out for help. Obviously, back in the day, you didn't have many options. And so trying to find a way to sneak, a phone call was almost impossible sometimes. And so now at least there's other ways to do that, and hopefully do it in a safe way, by shooting out a text to someone, shooting out a text again to the domestic violence hotline. And again, as Jen pointed out, social media, being able to send someone a private message or an email is also another way to reach out to someone and let them know that you're in need of assistance. Counselors. So obviously this is my area, but basically, just to point out that our education has broadened in this area greatly. I would say within even the past 10 to 15 years in treatment and in understanding and knowing that, when we're treating those that are coming out of domestic violence relationships, it's a lot different than treating those that have what we call, obviously, post-traumatic stress disorder. And so, yes, that is something that exists. However, what we've come to learn, I would say, in the past 5 years, is that we're dealing more with what's called complex PTSD or CPTSD, which is treated differently and presents differently. A new resource is also called Disarm DV. It is a site that can be utilized to learn the laws from state to state with regard to whether or not people people with protection orders against them are allowed to own or purchase firearms. The National Domestic Violence Hotline was founded in 1996. So although it's been around for a while, if you think about it, it's still relatively new. Over the years, it has evolved by adding a website as well as texting and chat options. And it's also important to know that you don't have to be a victim or feel like you're in an unsafe situation yourself to contact the domestic violence hotline. You can also contact them on behalf of another person. You can contact them to get resources. And on their website, they have a number of resources as well. Something else to note is that many of the new websites have what's called an emergency exit button. So if you suddenly feel unsafe on that website or someone comes in the room, you can hit that button and it will immediately take you off of that website and nobody will be the wiser. The Department of Justice's Office on Violence Against Women also has a list of state-based resources for survivors. This website, I will note, does not have one of the emergency exit buttons. The National Dating Abuse Hotline is another resource. This focuses on helping young people who have concerns about dating relationships. And this is something that, Jen and I will cover at another time as far as the focus.
Yeah, and we definitely will, because I mean, I work with a lot of our youth in our communities. I start off at seventh grade to above. And I'll tell you what, it is very, very important to start at a younger age so that these boys and these girls realize what healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships are.
Absolutely. And I don't know if we always recognize that, getting information to our younger community members, how important that is, and just having these conversations. And again, letting them know that there are resources and letting them know that they're not stuck in a situation that, they're questioning as far as their safety. And, along with Jen, I also meet with a lot of young kids. A lot of my clients are, between the ages of 10 and 17. And this topic comes up actually quite often. And it's unfortunate that it comes up in the sense of, high risk relationships. But, the fortunate thing is that they at least feel comfortable enough to start having these conversations and starting a dialogue. The National Dating Abuse Hotline phone number, again, you don't need to worry about writing all of these things down because you can look at our podcast later. But it's 866-331-9474. You can also text LOVE IS, which is one word, to 22522. And again, the hotline and website is open to those calling on behalf of themselves or someone else. And their website is also all one line, loveisrespect.org.
And if I may interject for a second, anyone that's ever used one of these hotlines, they work. There's somebody there, they're answering questions. They give you the resources based on where you're at. If you're trying to get somewhere else, they give you the resources based on where you're trying to go and everything in between. So, a lot of people make jokes and they say, oh, call the hotline, call the hotline. No, the hotline is serious and they take things very serious. And the people that are answering the phones are educated. They know what they're supposed to do. They know their role and how they're supposed to react towards speaking to someone on the other line and making sure that they are comfortable and confident in the decision that they're making. So don't ever feel like the hotline, you don't know what you're going to get from it. You're not going to be on hold. It's not going to be, when you call 911, that's for an emergency, like right now. But not every time that you call 911 does the person on the other line understand exactly what you're going through. When you're calling one of these domestic hotlines, they are there and they understand what you're going through. They understand if you're someone that wants to help, and they're going to give you the resources within your area to be able to do so. So I just wanted to interject there because I think it's important, and people make light of, the 800 numbers and the hotline numbers, but those people are there to help you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I agree 100%. And I think, again, they are, as I said, so it is obviously you want to be able to reach out and feel safe when you're doing that. And so that's why they have the options. They have websites, they have texting options, they have chatting options. And when we talk about chatting availability, we basically, same thing as texting. And I know many people know what that means already, but for anyone that doesn't, it gives you the option while you are on the website to have a conversation with somebody, through your computer or through your phone. So again, it's similar to texting, but it's also it's a quiet way to have a conversation with somebody. And again, get resources if you need to try to get them for someone else or for yourself. Doing the chatting and texting, those can be much safer ways to, reach out for help than getting on the phone and trying to make a phone call. That can be very difficult for people. Again, especially in this situation right now where so many people are not home by themselves for any length of time. So again, just trying to figure out safest ways to do these things. And I'm going to just piggyback on one of the last things that Jen mentioned, or the last resources. Same thing as far as trying to help out and trying to be a resource and trying to find resources in your community is going to break the silence against domestic violence, and which is breakthesilencedv.org. So again, if you're trying to find more resources in your area, that's a great way to look up more resources, other ways to support. And again, it can be on behalf of someone else. And again, we'll keep saying, or, for yourself. So I'm going to switch it back over to Jen. So, as we wrap up today.
Yeah, basically going to wrap up. We appreciate the questions. We really do. We enjoy answering the questions because it means you guys are paying attention, and it means that what we're doing is working and that it's needed in our communities. So we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to ask that you keep sending your questions. And if there's, again, any topic that you want to talk about, one thing I did get a lot about last week was what's happening in our prison systems right now. Very unfortunate that they are releasing a lot of people that are offenders of domestic violence, and that's leaving a lot of men and women in situations where they are now fighting for their safety again and worrying about where they're going to go in a time like this. So I think that that's going to be something we're going to address a little bit next week. We have a lot of research to do on that because the percentage of people being released at this point is actually kind of high. I did look at a little bit of it this week, Sherry, and saw that it's pretty high. And when I was able to see the offenses of a lot of these people, a lot of it was domestic violence against either a man or a woman within their house or a family member. And so I think that's a pretty important topic for us to cover possibly next week. So keep your comments coming, keep your questions coming. We're here to answer them. We're here to guide you in any direction that we can. Again, we're very, very excited that we were able to at least help one person last week. And we hope to do that every single week. Even if we don't know about it, we're just happy that people are getting helped and getting the information that they need out there to make good decisions, and being a friend, a family member, or just that push, just that little push to get you out, to make you realize that there are people that are going to help you. We are here to help you. There's other people to help you. I know firsthand from a victim's point of view that help is not something you ever think you're going to get, but it's out there. Believe me and trust me, it is out there. And so we're trying to provide that for you. We're trying to make you realize. So we're hoping that for any of you that are stuck in this situation that have been ready to go, get out. And for those of you that really are not in that spot yet, we're going to try to continue to give you resources that are going to help you get through this situation from here on in. Even when this pandemic is over and we're still able to go out and we're able to get back out and into public, and we're not necessarily secluded with these people, you still need it because we see it all the time, both Sherry and I. I mean, domestic violence has been going on long before this pandemic, and it's going to go on, unfortunately, long after. We're just here to try to provide you with some resources to get through it now and in the future. And any questions, again, that you guys have, please reach out to us. Again, the domestic violence hotline number is 1-800-799-7233, or you can text HOME, HOME, to 741-741. And as always, you can reach out to Sherry or I at the Help Save Foundation, which is the helpsavefoundation.org is the website, which you can contact us through there, or you can go right through Facebook, Help Save Foundation. Oh, that's another question I got this week too. A lot of people ask me what SAVE part is and why the SAVE is capitalized. So we are the Help Save, Survivors Advocating for Violence Education. That's what SAVE stands for. It was very important to me right from the beginning in 2000 and 2015 to help people be educated. And that's what we're here for. We educate social workers. We educate law enforcement. We educate abusers. We educate, people don't realize that as an abuser, there's a lot of things that can be done to help them. Not all the time, but everybody needs some education on this, and we're here to do it for everybody. So that's what SAVE stands for, and it has from the beginning, and it's going to the end. Like, we're here to help educate you guys. So thanks again for watching. We look forward to next week. We look forward to all your questions and answering them, and stay healthy and well, everyone.
Thank you.